welcome back, everyone. This is a quick little special episode. The Four Nations just wrapped up. Canada taking home the gold medal 3-2 against the U.S. in overtime. Another golden goal over, what is it now, like 15 years later since the Vancouver Olympics, the last golden goal. Now it's off to McDavid. What are the boys? What are the boys thinking?
Last 5 minutes of the third, still tied. I'm like, you know what? Could we see history repeat itself? You know, Sid the kid going back out there. Someone's just going to pass him in front of the corner, and he's just going to roof it again, short side. So I don't know. That's what I was praying for. You know, a little history repeats itself. But we kind of had a little bit of a passing of the torch now. You know, the next big generational player in the NHL that plays for Team Canada, Connor McDavid, had his moment. And boy, did he ever shine, securing the dub for Team Canada. Like, that was special. That was honestly really special.
Boy, did he ever need it, Dallas, because he sucked tonight.
He had his redemption. He had his redemption, right?
Turnover central. He had no puck handling skill. He was terrible. I know Dak was just sitting here. I was just roasting him the whole game. Literally, I was like, what is this guy doing?
Well, who I was roasting the entire tournament was Binnington. And he actually locked in that entire overtime period. Like, he actually locked in. And in my mind, he kind of got a little bit of redemption for me, too. Like, he actually helped secure that dub for the boys. Like, you know what? Good on him. Good on him. Like, he wasn't shaky at all.
Like, literally, that's the best I've ever seen Binnington play in the tournament, to be honest. Like, this was the Binnington that we wanted to see. He was shaky whole tournament long, and he shined in overtime. And, man, if it wasn't for him, USA probably would have freaking scored a goal. Literally. But I agree with what you said, Dallas. You know, the new generation of McDavid scoring the game winner. That's why I thought that Connor McDavid was going to score that goal. I would have loved to see Crosby score it, recreate history. I remember watching that Crosby goal at home. It was unbelievable. It would have been nice to see. But seeing Connor McDavid just score the game winner, I know he was complete garbage this game. I don't think he was good. I agree with you, Rye. I think he was very bad all game. He was very quiet, and from the best player in the National Hockey League, you don't expect a player to play like that. But I do agree with Dallas with his redemption scoring that game winner, because at the end of the day, Canada won the game.
Boys, who thought Matthews almost had it in the bag there? Like, honestly, God, who thought Matthews had it done there?
Me and Dakota said, yep, game over, probably 50 times.
Oh, dude, every time the puck was in Canada's end, I'm like, we're toast. Like, Canada's cooked. But, like, only because Binnington seemed slow all game, you'd see shots go from the, shot from the side, and his back is facing towards the players. And we're like, why are you positioned like that? I don't know. He seemed slow. So, like, anytime the puck got shot on him, I was like, yeah, we're cooked.
Yeah, he would go on the post. Like, there was a shot, I think, from Larkin. It was, like, by the goal line. And he played the played the RVH on his post, and he almost fell over because he had no balance. Yeah. And it was like Dallas even said it in the Discord. He was like, "This guy has no balance." Like,
he missed the post with his shoulder, I think. Right, so he went to lean on the post, missed it, and all his body weight went. So he just twisted his back to try and get anything on it, which almost was bad, because if it did hit him more, I think it would have just banked off him into the net. But thank God.
Well, and then there was that one that he saved with his head too.
Well, there's also that last shot from JT Miller. Just, it would have been an absolute snipe, but it hit the crossbar. I was like, for sure, that's a goal.
Yeah, that was close. There's a bunch of close goals, like you said. I probably could have said game over 50 times too.
That glove save, what was it, 2 shifts before Canada scored? That is what you need from Binnington.
There's 2 in a row, I think.
Yeah, there was 2 in a row, but none bigger than that glove save. That was a 3/4 open net with a player on his off wing, so he was left-handed with the whole net, easy shot, and Binnington got his glove on it. Crazy.
Yeah, actually, Steven Ellis, who we just had in episode 50, going to be coming out soon, just tweeted, or right after that, he drew one of those stick figures that we talked about in episode 50. So yeah, I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, might as well plug that. Episode 50 coming out in a week with Steven Ellis. Thanks to Colton for pulling that guest from Daily Faceoff for us. So that'll be massive, and we're super excited for everyone to get to watch that. But yeah, go ahead, Colton. What were you saying?
I was just saying the parallels to 2010 are insane. Both times Canada loses to the U.S. in the preliminary round. Both times
Yeah.
it goes 2-2. Both times it goes to overtime. Both times the best player in the world scores.
Also, from that same corner, Iginla and Marner both in that
Yeah.
corner passed it
Yeah.
to the left side of the net where Crosby
Yep.
and McDavid both were.
Mhm.
A little bit different,
left-hand-
Crosby moving,
both-
McDavid not, but
Both right-hand shots, passing it to left-hand shots. Again,
It was
Marner.
definitely like similar shots and similar passes and just how it all played out. But I think all of Canada needs to apologize to Binner. Like,
Including,
not
all,
apologizing.
including us
Head.
six.
I'm not apologizing. He did not
Actually-
earn his trust the whole time. He
No, but he
won
played
the
when it
game
mattered
for us.
most.
I'll give him that. I'll give him that he won the game for us in overtime, but how we ended up in the final, 100% on him. The bad goals, the shaky play. Like, I don't agree. Any of the goals tonight were on him. The team had meltdowns. Taze had a meltdown on the first goal. I noticed like guys like Reinhardt and stuff just weren't having their head in the game, missing pucks all night long. So like, I don't blame Binnington for either goal. But the fact like he locked down in overtime, but the rest of the tournament and the last overtime versus Sweden or the first overtime, like those two periods, his best periods he played. Other than that, totally shaky. So I'm not apologizing at all. But thanks for the win.
Now that the tournament has come and gone, boys, like I was very pleased about the turnout of this event. Like it actually was a success. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was very excited for it. And this just honestly proves, like through recent adversities, like this is our game, boys. Canada is hockey's game. Like, you know, we are enjoying our 38th international gold medal compared to the United States' 4, right? So this just proves that this is our game still, no matter what. Who we throw out there, who's in our lineup, how they, roll around, throw the dice of who's going to be on the roster or not. Like it just proves that we can still go out there and compete the hardest and win it all.
Hey, I don't have to let you tell everyone. I can just play that video that I showed you of Biz Nasty 5 minutes ago going off. He'll tell you that it's still our game.
Yeah, but 100% we're just going to hear the American crybabies like, well, we had so-and-so hurt, Kachuk, McAvoy.
No Hughes.
No,
the crying is coming, guaranteed.
It's actually funny because then I scrolled up 2 tweets ahead of that or after that, and it was Ryan Whitney going, me and so-and-so won't be able to make the pod tomorrow. We're sick. It was like 4 minutes after.
Him and Grunelli.
I think so.
Yeah, because Grunelli actually was sick. He said he was sick coming out of Montreal. So
well then maybe they are sick.
I love Biz's energy too.
But at the same time,
now just full send it to them too. He's just gonna rub it in even more. I love it.
I think they deserve it.
I don't know. Like there was a lot of underwhelming guys, right? Like obviously, I do think like today, like McDavid was underwhelming. Reinhardt was underwhelming. I thought Marner was underwhelming every moment except for when he had his 2 assists, which were brilliant. So you got to give him some credit. I mean, Point was underwhelming. Stone was underwhelming. I thought Sanheim played terrible. Parayko didn't play good. Doughty didn't play that good. Like
Parayko
as a team,
different role than he does though. And then like in the NHL, like with St. Louis, he doesn't play that big of a role. Today he was playing, especially with Morrissey gone, he was playing top minutes. Him and Sanheim were like, by the third period, they were Doughty was almost our best defenseman.
Somehow. But Taze had a bad game. Like, no, McCarr definitely was the best.
Well,
but I think Harley played pretty good. It was so funny down here. I was roasting Ray Ferraro pretty much all game because he was kind of all over the place. I was like right in the first period, Reinhardt just did a terrible turnover at the blue line where we went to flick it out and it hit a U.S. body and went back in the zone. And then Ray comes on. He's like, if Harley, the young guy keeps making turnovers like that at the blue line, that's like 2 or 3 this period. I was like, what are you talking about, Ray? That was Reinhardt. Like, not even the guy you're chirping. And I thought Harley played a pretty good game, actually. Assisted on the McKinnon goal in the first and drove the lane. So that was big. Also,
no, you know what Canada needs to do? We should ban PK Subban from Canada. He had USA winning the tournament.
He did. PK had USA winning.
Did you see Akeem Aliu calling him out?
No.
It was a whole ass paragraph.
That was wild.
He says he's a
Wow.
disgrace and justice will come to you accordingly. It was crazy, dude. Go read that for yourself.
Yeah.
He just went off on the man.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
But anyways, all politics
doesn't
aside in the
Team
sport, like, this
LU
was
win
perfect.
about,
What a
though?
great tournament.
Yeah, a hell of a tournament. Absolutely.
Like, it just proves, going back to what I said, like, this is just our game, simply put. But like I said to you guys earlier in the Discord chat, I'm like, this game almost didn't really feel as rowdy as the first meeting in Montreal at the Bell Center between these two countries, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought, in a championship game, everything is on the line. As you know, a couple players quoted, is Game 7. This is do or die. Like, there wasn't as much intensity, but there still was a little bit.
I think
I knew it wasn't good.
I think they realize that, like, when there's more on the line and you have the best players in the world and most of them are skill guys, and there is a game on the line to play, and like most of them are competitive guys, they're gonna more than likely play to their roots and stick to their roots and play the competitive way. And in Montreal, that's a round robin game. First time they've ever played, they can do that stuff. If you play the same way, yeah, there's probably not going to be fights, but I would like to see a little bit more like bump and grind maybe from the Canadians. The Americans played the exact same way. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Once they lost Kachuk, though, that was a big difference in terms of the style that they played. That Kachuk line was dominant the whole first period. Like, Canada couldn't stop them.
no, like you said, they were almost winning the game for them.
Yeah.
Well, even one call could have changed the entirety of the outcome of this game tonight, guys. Like, what about that no call and too many men on the ice for Canada? Like,
No, that's the rule. They didn't touch the puck.
No.
That's the rule. No one played it. It's totally legal as long as no one plays it.
Yep.
IAHF and NHL rules again have different rules, and since it's NHL, yeah,
Yeah.
no one touched it.
Yeah.
It's not going to get called. But
I thought actually
there was a lot of calls that they could have called, but they let the boys play. And I really wanted that to happen. It's Canada versus USA. You're going to let them play, and it's one hell of a game, one hell of a matchup, close matchup. Couldn't get any better than that. Tournament is good for hockey. I'm really happy that they decided to go with this, and who knows if they build on this for the future as well. But with the viewers that they were getting for this tournament, just proves that it's awesome for hockey. It's great for hockey, and it was a very exciting tournament, hands down.
Yeah, and going back to the penalties quick, the power plays were 1-0 Canada, and I thought it should have been evened up because, yes, Trocheck definitely tripped Sam Bennett on that play, but if you look right before that, in front of the net, him and Doughty were battling, and Doughty absolutely decked him with a massive cross-check, which put him on the ground in the first place. That led to him reaching out and tripping Bennett. So I think that the ref probably could have called one each there. Luckily, like, for the game's sake, Canada didn't score on that because I thought that was like a tough situation. But the fact that Canada didn't take a single penalty, and I didn't really see a time other than that Doughty moment where they really deserved a penalty. I thought it was, like you said, Will, it's a hard-fought back-and-forth game, and the refs were just letting them play hard. There was nothing obvious, no delay of games, no high sticks, nothing like that was missed. Miller went down, but that was a puck to the face. So
I kind of wish Canada would have been like a little better on the special teams. 1 for 4 throughout the tournament. Like, I mean, they went crazy 56 seconds into the tournament, and after that, it was nothing.
Yeah,
just couldn't get anything going. I don't know why, but yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts, like, honestly, about Team Finland and Team Sweden's performance in this entire tournament in the round robin? Like, do you think it was pretty lackluster coming with a lot of depth that those guys had? I know, like, obviously we talked about Finland having a lack thereof with their defense core, but still, like, even a powerhouse like Sweden, like, they were pretty lackluster too. Big name Elias Pettersson held scoreless the entire tournament. Like, I don't know. Like, do you think they could have done a lot better than what they've proved?
Well, I just want to make one note. If this was NHL points category, 2 points for a win, 1 point for an overtime loss, Sweden was in the final, not Canada. So Sweden didn't do that bad. They pointed in all 3 games, the only team to do so. So I just want to point that out for Sweden, but anyone else can take it from there.
I think Finland, I think it was pretty expected that they were going to be the team that was going to be last here. I mean, with the defensive core, like you said, Dally, like, I feel like, Finland was the weakest of all these teams. So it was kind of expected. I think USA and Canada were the heavy favorites to be in the finals. I think Sweden did a hell of a job, and they were close. Sweden was close to making that final, but Canada ended up beating Finland, and Sweden had to hope for the best that Canada ever, like, whether they went to overtime or lost. So, and that didn't happen. So I think Sweden did a hell of a job. I mean, there's nothing you could have really done there, but I feel like it was pretty expected.
Yeah, I think with Sweden, like you saw some like skill there, obviously, but with guys like Pedersen not showing up despite, his fellow teammates telling the media that, watch out for him and this and that, and he doesn't, put up the points that he's supposed to put up. It takes a pretty big hit on the team, I think. And overall, I mean, yeah, Sweden and Finland weren't even expected to be in the final anyways. Anybody that you asked that was in the media or any had anything to do with the NHL, they said Canada US was going to be the final. Like nobody once thought it was going to be Sweden or Finland in the final. It was always Canada versus US, which leads it back to the Four Nations tournament shouldn't even be a thing. It should be 8 nations, or it should just be Canada versus the US and do a 7-game series or a 5-game series, and then do a US versus Finland over in Stockholm or over in Helsinki and play it over there. Just do it that way.
Yeah.
Give the Scandinavian fans what they want to see. Sweden versus Finland is excellent hockey. We've watched it before. It's fun to watch those two teams go at it, but they're not the alphas in this tournament, and they never will be. So it's always going to be Canada versus US in the final. Look at the Olympics. I'll call it right now. It's Canada versus the US in the 2026 Olympics. 2028 World Cup, it's going to be Canada versus the US. It's just how it's going to go. But Finland, and it's going to always be that way too when these teams aren't allowed to pick players outside of the NHL. So if Finland was able to round their team out more with players that weren't from the NHL, probably would have done a lot better. Same with Sweden, but they can't do that.
2028, Colton, 2028, there will be a chance if the Russians are allowed back in. That's all I'm going to say. If there's a rule change and somehow there's a chance. But yeah, I do understand what you're saying. I just had to be that guy.
No, you're good. That's the big problem though, is there's no competition. It's Canada versus US. That's all it is.
That's what the IHF has to understand. I know their main priority is security, and that's what they've been like last year when they put out when Luke Tardif put out a statement. Their main thing was security for the players and the fans, and they just don't have the money to do what they think they need to do. I don't think they need to do what they think they need to do, and they just need to bring the Russian kids back in and let them play hockey.
Yeah,
or the
100%.
Russian athletes.
Yeah, 100%. It's not. Yeah, geopolitical bullshit aside, they just need to let Russia play.
And then the World Cup becomes great again, and we have 5 hockey powerhouses, not 4.
Yeah.
Me and Dakota look too, though. Like it's going to have to be international rosters, not NHL rosters. We looked at Czechia, we looked at Slovakia, at their NHL players, and Switzerland has 2 guys, Nino Niederreiter and Yossi, right? Like they don't even have a goaltender in the NHL. So
and Zuccarello.
Zuccarello's from Norway.
Yeah, Norway. Most of those nations, Germany has Draisaitl, Seider, and
Marcel Gottsch.
Yeah, Marcel Gottsch. And Nico Sturm, right? And then Grubauer and net. But how long does Grubauer have, right? So, they're going to have to go international with these rosters because the NHL player, there's just not enough. Unless you do a Team Europe. I'm all for a Team Europe. 6-team tournament, no Team North America, Russia, Sweden, Finland, Canada, USA, Team Europe.
That's what I've said in our daily Faceoff group chats is that's what it needs to be. It needs to be those 6 teams and let there be a Team Europe. You're talking about no gimmick teams, so okay, whatever. Yeah. Then make a Team Europe. There needs to be a Team Europe so that those countries can participate. It's stupid to not let them play when guys like Martin Necas and Nico Hischier and Moritz Seider, et cetera, can all play. That'd be fun to watch, right? So give them a Team Europe or whatever you want to do and let Russia back in, and there's your 6 teams.
Yeah. Unless, I was saying to Dakota, unless they add the AHL under the umbrella, they could probably get things done if they add the AHL. 60 teams, they could probably get it done, but like that, those teams would get smoked. Like Canada would run over Team Germany with 3 NHLers and the rest. Like,
so they should let them pick players from other leagues.
Yeah, but then you have to bring in the other leagues' insurances. You have to get their schedules figured out, right? Like, it's not as easy as we want it to be to get. I don't know how they think. Like, they just went from 4 to 8. I don't know how they got 8 in their mind. I don't know what their plan is to get there. And if you don't get Russia, how do you get 8? Like,
right. The beautiful thing about this, though, Rye, is like it's been touched on a few times. Like, you know, obviously we alluded to that 2026 it's going to be in Milano, Cortina, and then 2028 is when we get the World Cup back. But like with these 8 teams now, it's been 12 years since the last World Cup would have happened in 2016. Like the game has grown throughout the globe now. Like, and we touched a little bit with that with Stephen Ellis, right? Like a lot of these guys, like Italy, Norway, Greece, like a lot of these different countries now, like their programs are kind of catching up to the rest of the world, which is great to see, growing the game. So like, I'm pretty sure like even with NHL talent from some of these countries, like they could possibly within the next 2 years build these teams to actually compete at the international level at the World Cup. And I think it's going to be very exciting. I think it's going to be even better than the last World Cup we've been treated to. But with all that due in mind, I really hope that Russia does get back involved in the Olympic Committee. It does suck real bad for a lot of the fans, even in the players, especially that, you know, politics does get in the way of sports. So I wish that would literally just, you know, go away. I wish politics would stay away out of sports. But Russia comes back in, obvious powerhouse, right? And then, you know, Czechia, they got a couple good superstars coming up currently. Slovakia, maybe not so much Norway, but even like Switzerland. So I don't know. I think they can do it with the 8 teams that they're proposing to come out with.
Well, just to bounce off what you said there, Dally, you said that hope possibly in the next couple of years, like the teams could build their way up. But like we were also talking about with Steven, is that like most of those teams in Europe are building their way for like the World Championships, like that level of a tournament. For some teams to try and build their way to a Four Nations tournament would take would just be like a whole nother step, a whole new gap in between, and because we're talking best on best. So to go from like a tournament where you're competing with teams like Italy, Austria, Norway, stuff like that, Denmark, and like not Canada's B team, USA's B team, stuff like that, I think it would be a big jump for them to get to like a Four Nations best on best type tournament. So I think it's really interesting to see who the heck they're going to pick from Europe.
I kind of had this idea, boys, in my mind that I was just thinking of, and just bounce back your thoughts on this. But what about an NHL European Cup? What about all the nations that were left off of the Four Nations, or ones that really won't get picked for even the World Cup? Like, even if it's amateur or even NHL superstars helping out for their countries, like why don't we just get a strictly Scandinavian or European Cup and have all those nations, you know, fight it out to be the champs? Like, I think that'd be a kind of a great fan experience, grow the game even better, having best on best international competition for hockey over there overseas. So what do you guys think about that, having a European NHL Cup?
I like it. I honestly do, Dal. I honestly like that because, you know, you have the European guys and, you know, you're not going to have like the expectation on who you think's going to win. Because like, again, like we've said, like Canada and USA are the 2 nations that have been facing off each other in the finals for years and years. And also, you know, obviously it's great hockey, obviously, but you know, if it's the same over and over and over and over again, it's going to get repetitive. And it's like, yeah, you know, it's usually Canada, USA all the time, whatever. But having that European tournament, you're not going to expect who you think's going to win. Like it's going to be, you know, powerhouses like Czechia, Slovakia, and all those guys. So I honestly like the idea. You know, having these new ideas is stuff that will help grow the games. So I like that idea. I honestly do.
Who would love to see Latvia just dominate that tournament, right?
Yeah, I want to double check what you mean. So you want it to be the teams outside of the, like, let's say the 8 teams that would be at the World Cup, right? You want it to be teams outside of that?
Yeah, like we're talking Latvia, Germany, Norway, Denmark, maybe
you want
Italy,
it to be like NHL players there?
Well, amateur and NHL, right? Like think of it like Olympic base.
There's like
Yeah.
2
Not-
Norwegians, 4 Swiss. Like there's
Not
not a lot of NHL guys that would go there. There's like 2 Latvians. There's more goaltender Latvians than there are player Latvians. There's like Gergensons, and then there's Merzlikins, and there's just
Maybe
Rudolph
Feldbergs could play
Goldberg.
then. Who knows, right? Eric's
I don't
Matei.
know. The NHL wouldn't sanction it. I'll tell you that. The NHL would have nothing to do with that, sending 10 players to a tournament with 8 teams. Like they would want nothing to do with that, because why would they insure their 10 guys, but they wouldn't want to insure everybody.
It's nice they do the global series and whatnot overseas, like they'll go to Gothenburg or Stockholm or Oslo or whatever. But I think just a little mini tournament for those European countries, it helps grow the game for the hockey fans over there to see some NHL superstars more often, or just good best on best hockey. I mean, maybe theoretically yes, but I think more likely it's highly unlikely. But it's just a thought.
You know what I think would be fun? So you have say the Four Nations teams that were there as is now, you have those rosters. But I think it would also be fun if you had kind of like a fan-made team, but of all the players in the NHL that didn't make, say, Team Canada, USA, but have them join, right? So you're going to see maybe Scheifele team up with an American, Sweden players, or even Finland players, but have that as a team. Just as kind of an FU to the other teams, right? So say Scheifele got a hat trick, then it'd be an FU to Canada for not getting invited to the team.
Kind of like a golden,
like the expansion draft style.
Kind of has that feel of when it was the World Cup and Team North America was it, and then the guys who didn't make those respective clubs actually played for Team North America, and that was an incredible team to watch. I really loved that team, and it sucks that they're not going to be in the World Cup the next one, but I understand why. But they were an unreal team to watch. So just thinking about having a team of guys that didn't make Canada, Finland, USA, and Sweden, that would be a very interesting team. I would have loved it. I would have absolutely loved it.
Well, think
that
of the
team would have dominated. They would have absolutely dominated Sweden and Finland. We're talking about Draisaitl, Pasternak, Kaprizov, Kucherov. Unless the Russians weren't allowed, then but still, Draisaitl, Pasternak, just tons of guys.
And just name it Team NHL or something,
Team FU to the world.
Yeah.
What about Hlinka Gretzky style, right? You can have Canada red and Canada white, right? Maybe they could have a second Canada team with all the snubs off the first team.
World or something.
They don't do that at the Hlinka Gretzky. They do that at the U17s and maybe U18s, but I think it's just U17s.
Might be just U17s, I think.
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, either way, the landscape for international hockey being back and laid out into the 2030s is fantastic for all of us, really. There's nothing more to look forward to than the fact that we get to be watching this hockey go on for the next decade, really, of international hockey on a every 2-year basis instead of every 4 or something like that.
And that's good to have a 10-year roadmap too. As long as it's all concrete there in the works, it's good. So you don't have to worry about it now. And I think what Gary Bettman and Bill Daly and all those guys at the higher ups in the NHL, this is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. Unfortunately, we waited this long, but now it's great to see we have a 10-year roadmap of having international best on best hockey. So this is a good start. So we're going to obviously find out more as time goes on. So
the only thing that I would have a concern about is that look how late we are in the season already, and we already have injuries to major players.
Yeah, that's what I was.
So that screws playoff teams heavily. And so I don't know. I just think the timing of the tournament should be changed, if anything. But
maybe
that would be like end of the season, maybe even after the Stanley Cup, or
that's what I was about to say. That's what I was thinking, right after the season.
But then boys are just
or even preseason,
What about Pro Bowl? What about a Pro Bowl during the Stanley Cup final? Yes, you would not have players from 2 teams. So if the Edmonton Oilers go there, you lose
McDavid's Oilers. Then you don't have McDavid in the best on best.
I know, but but at the same time, well, the
Just
Stanley
got the
Cup is
game
going
winner
on.
in the
You
new
can get
best on
hurt.
best. You can't not have him in a best on best.
I didn't say it
Yeah,
was best on best. I said it was like a Pro Bowl.
I'd rather never watch a Pro Bowl.
I would rather the
I'd
best
rather
on
just
best.
have a best on best.
Horrible for the NHL.
But then at least
I
the
can't
season
see
is
it.
kind of done.
I can't see it.
It's never going to happen. I know. I'm just don't know. But like you look at it, Theodore's
And the
done for the year. McAvoy's done for the year.
He is not
Kachuk,
done for the
we
year.
have no idea
No.
how long Kachuk's out for. We have no idea how long Brady Kachuk's out for. Like
Brady's
those are
fine.
4 massive names in the NHL.
What if some of these guys were big trade pieces, right, heading into free agency, and some of them were going to be dealt by the deadline? Well, there goes your team's winning
Wow.
ticket of getting some good
I
draft.
don't think
Not
a guy
to-
on these teams.
Not to shock you, but I don't think any one of those players was going to get traded.
No, I'm saying hypothetically, if there were like this tournament, like it's a grind, right? So say if one of these big guys got hurt out there and they were to be a
Well,
trade
they'd be
piece, like
moved
that
out,
would have
yeah.
sucked. Like think of this article that just came out today, right? Like the Boston Bruins were allegedly really unhappy with how Team USA disclosed the injury and how that happened. Like that's a big loss on their blue line now, right? So
Yep.
I don't know. This tournament does take a lot out of you. It's definitely much different than the pace of an All-Star game weekend, but
There's
That's
more
nice.
internal stuff about that, though. They're mad. Boston's mad that they didn't have a say in what went on with Charlie. They're mad that Minnesota's team doctor was the one that worked on Charlie. That's the whole beef behind that. Is it's the same doctor that cleared Pat Maroon to go to Boston, but then once he got to Boston, he wasn't physically ready. He was injured still. So if you read the article and read that stuff, that's what it's about. They're pissed off that Bill
Yeah.
Guerin and Bill Guerin basically just hired his henchman from Minnesota to run everything.
Yeah,
So
he
that's
brought
what
his own.
Boston's pissed off about. Like McAvoy will be fine; he'll return in the next few weeks. But like, they're
Oh, they
just
said they might not get him back to a
balancing
playoff. They
Yeah,
said
and-
today maybe up
so-
to a playoff.
So 3 to 5 weeks, right? Like trade deadline's 9 days away from today. Like that's something a lot of people don't realize is the trade deadline's literally just under 10 days away. And then the season's
So-
over like literally a month and a half after that. Not even.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, so here would be another reason why the timing of the tournament would suck. Say Rantanen wasn't traded yet. What if Rantanen got injured that tournament for the remainder of the season? Well, they just screwed themselves.
well
Yeah,
what, what if Carolina's looking to flip
Yeah,
Rantanen too? So
You just
then
don't
he
know.
gets injured and then everything gets ruined for them, right?
there was definitely a lot of UFAs like on these teams, right? Like Travis Konechny, he was out, and then there, Mitch Marner, he could have potentially gotten hurt at this tournament. Brock Nelson, to name another. So yeah, like I don't know, it's costly. You're taking a risk, but obviously it's worth it. You're representing your country, so who cares?
I was
right?
gonna say I don't think any of those players care.
Yeah.
It's about
Well,
representing
and you
their
have
country.
Quinn
just the
Hughes
general
coming off.
managers that would be on edge.
You have Quinn Hughes coming off like a 3-week injury, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go."
I'm ready to join.
Well,
Too late
and then-
now, son.
And then Bill Guerin criticizes Jim Rutherford for how that's handled too, like because Rutherford technically, I guess, didn't
He said no.
allow Hughes or whatever. But it's like, how does that rule even make sense at the same time? How the guy wasn't even listed on the team anymore because he was
Yeah.
injured. So
Yep.
so we're just gonna
And
make
Sanderson
rules up
scored.
as we go and just toss him into the fucking lineup randomly, like.
Yeah, and Sanderson scored. So
Yeah, and
what are you that
Sanderson.
upset about?
Yeah. Sanderson's the best fucking defenseman on that team, anyways. So whatever, other than Quinn Hughes. But
Well,
literally.
it's like, and you're already in your last game. So say another defenseman went down regardless. Well, then you just run 5D.
yeah. And then what
It's
happens
not
if
good.
Quinn Hughes comes in and then he just gets blown up by Sam Bennett, even
Yeah.
though, or whatever.
No, I
right?
know.
Like,
It would just be a different. Like I could see it being a different story if Guerin was mad. Like say there was another game after today, right?
Yeah.
And they said no, Hughes, you can't go. But like the game that he said he can't go to, someone got injured and Vancouver was still like, no, you're not going. Then I could see Bill Guerin being mad. But if it's during a game, someone gets hurt, then you just run 5D, and it is what it is.
how does yeah, no, I see it that way. But like, you talk about someone like Pedersen and his just horrendous performance. Like, how
Jack
does that?
Hughes. I want to add Jack Hughes to that list. He was.
Yeah.
Irrelevant.
Yeah. So irrelevant.
Jack Hughes
Huge got
doing
bodied all
anything.
game. He got
Yeah,
bodied.
he
all
was
game.
getting bodied.
He's
I
not
didn't see
big
him
enough
out there
for that
once.
stuff.
Yo, the only time I saw him out there was when he got hit by McKinnon, and then I said, "Oh, nice play, Hughes." One time when he took the puck up off the defensive wall and made a breakout pass.
Yeah, I was going to put something in the chat and be like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Jack Hughes not noticeable at all over here? Because I didn't see him once. 86, I was looking, didn't see it.
I think that he was sat down because Kachuk was out. They sat Kreider, and then it's like, okay, if we're going to sit a whole line, who are we sitting? I think Jack got the bench.
Yeah. In a game like that where you need
Yeah.
physicality, I'm sitting Jack too.
Small forwards that aren't physical and all skilled yet again shows that they don't work out in best on best or Stanley Cup final situations. If they don't have that next gear,
Should have
doesn't
scratched Jack Hughes though instead of fucking Kyle Connor.
yeah. Well, I mean, Matthew Tkachuk, I know he's the emotional leader. Yeah, you know, you'd want him on the bench too and everything, but like he played 6 minutes of game time, and Kyle Connor sat up in the. You don't know what Kyle Connor could have done. We have no idea.
Yeah.
So
Sitting Kyle Connor is just crazy to me. Guy, that is a dude that knows how to score goals.
And he knows how. Sorry. I'm referring
He's
to
scoring
you're
on
right. He knows how it works. Like that matters.
Yeah.
That does matter.
I
But
wasn't.
no, you're right. He does know Helly, so it matters from a defensive standpoint. But
Yeah, because he can break out to a winger. That's an option. Like shoot it up. If he knows that Kyle Connor likes to sit at the far blue line when the puck comes back for a quick up all the way up the ice, like that stuff matters. They literally said it about Devon Tays when Tays hit McKinnon when he came across the blue line with that beautiful sauce pass up the ice. They were like, that's two teammates finally getting some sync. Like that's what happens when you get two teammates on the ice. So to me, yeah, I get it. I see what you're saying.
do you think Pettersson's performance hurts him though? Like in the sense of like you look at his contract now, I'm sure Vancouver fans are going, "Oh my god, why would we ever do that?" Like
Well,
you get into a best on best tournament and you can't even produce. What does that say?
he's like $6 million overpaid.
And he's surrounded by his fellow countrymen too, right? Like people that he really gets along with, that makes him feel comfortable. Like gets him out of his shell. He's having fun. Like I think this was the time to have this tournament for him. And the recent news with the departure of Miller, and this could have been a good turning point for him to have some fun, let loose, play for Sweden, and obviously that didn't happen. So I don't know. I think this really does hurt his value as a Vancouver Canuck. And, they did say that they've kind of pulled him off the market, but you never know. That could change on a dime now. I think time's running out for them to figure it out.
Even then, though, they put him back on the market, but now what do you get? You get probably lesser of a package than what JT Miller got. You probably get a prospect and a roster player to make up for cap and maybe a third round draft pick.
Yeah,
like Seth Jones. Like to me, honestly, I would do him for Seth Jones and some assets because here's the thing: Seth Jones might just need a revitalization. Yeah. You give him the chance to go to a team that's hopefully going to be in the playoffs, and like he signed with the Chicago Blackhawks with the hopes of being on a winning team, and then they just pulled a full 180 and went rebuild on him.
The thing is, Vancouver would need a forward out of that, though.
Okay, well, they can get a forward out of it. I mean,
because who would be there? Like, who becomes?
What about Bertuzzi? Bertuzzi and Jones and some picks
because the last time a Bertuzzi was in Vancouver, that went over good.
It went fantastic. He's one of the best players in the
No,
and he ended a guy's career. It was all full circle.
I think the thing with Seth Jones too is like it was kind of made to the point like there is a trade in the works. They just have to find the right suitor, to work around getting that cap space moved on from. So.
Ryan Suter? No, you're right.
They just need to take the first half decent offer. And there's been a lot of mock trades out there. But
they've had offers. They're just declining.
Yeah.
That's all. Like it doesn't make sense. Like you're trying to move a star player, so take what you can get.
Yeah, I think the right suitor will come eventually for Pettersson and Seth Jones, but I don't know. either I think both teams will benefit from it. Pedersen to a rebuilder, and Vancouver getting a good defenseman, but they still need a forward. So
I think at the end of the day, if this goes this year and next year, I would not be surprised if they're tagging picks onto him to move him.
Yeah.
Like that's my thought.
They'd have to. And like the one text message I sent you guys, I asked a couple people around the league about it, and a couple responses I got was, well, how much salary is being retained? Because like you'd have to think in a move that if they were to move Pedersen now, Vancouver might have to retain some of that, right? Like that's a big contract.
7 years. 7 years, and let's say it's 30%. That brings it to what, $9 million that the other team pays, or if they do 40%, that's like $7 million that the other team's paid, and they're on the hook for 3 or 4.
Yeah, Vancouver would probably only do it so it's like maximum. They're paying $4 million out of the cap probably for it, but like you do 25% or whatever. You'd have, as Vancouver, you'd have to add draft picks as that too, right? So that goes back to your remark about it. So I think the trading for Pedersen thing just got a lot harder for them.
And I think too, here's the thing: this is year 1 of no Roberto Luongo on their payroll, actually taking up cap on their payroll. They do not want to go down the road and book the entire rest of the 2020s with Pedersen on their payroll, not playing for them. I think that's not an option for the Aquilini family. I think they're like, no way can we let him leave and retain. They're like, do whatever you got to do to get rid of him, but no retaining. No.
You know what's the shitty thing though is that they do tend to keep him the next few seasons. Like, don't be surprised if season tickets start rising too. Like, and that's the shitty thing for the fans is like you're kind of going there. Yeah, right. I mean, Vancouver.
I saw. You guys keep talking. I'll try and find this thing that I saw.
And you might as well get rid of Tocchet. If you're going to commit to Pedersen, get rid of Tocchet because that's never going to work. And that's not Tocchet's fault. Tocchet's a fantastic coach, but it's never going to work with a guy like Tocchet on the bench.
No, and I think that's something that they're realizing is Tocchet he's a short-term coach, right? He's short-term turnaround. That's what he does.
Yep.
He's not a player though. Long-term. Yeah, that's true. I can't find it. But there was a tweet I saw. A WHL guy showed me it at the Blazers game a couple weeks ago. But it was showing the ticket prices for the suites for Vancouver, or for his executive prices, and it went up $5,300 to $6,600 for next season. Like, holy fucking shit!
I feel bad enough for those who live down in the Lower Mainland, as of right now. But to go out to enjoy a hockey game, to just escape the everyday life, your problems, etc., just enjoy a little bit of R&R at a hockey game. And now it's gotten to this point where now you go to a hockey game and it's like an arm and a leg to buy a beer and a popcorn or a fucking coney dog or something. You know what I'm saying? Then let alone the price of admission to get in. Like, holy, it is brutal. The price of everything is unreal.
Coney dog.
You never had a coney dog, dude?
No, dude. What's a coney dog?
Yeah, what's a coney dog? I've never heard of that.
This is a hot dog and a cone. I actually don't even know what you're talking about. Either.
It's kind of like chili, like a version of chili on a hot dog.
So it's a chili dog.
It's a chili dog.
Look up a coney dog, dude. I used to get them at Tigers games all the time. They were.
Do they come in a cone?
No.
Then how is it a coney dog?
It's like a Coney Island dog.
Okay. That makes a little more sense. I'll accept that. But just for everyone, reference chili dog.
I found it. So it was a Canucks seasons ticket holders. It wasn't executive suites. It was seasons ticket holders. So 2023-2024, they paid $5,500. Next year, they're paying $6,900 for seasons tickets in Vancouver.
And you know what? That is fairly cheap because sometimes a game can be like $1,200, right? Well, like when McDavid comes to town, there's like a center ice on the red line just behind the benches that goes like $1,200.
Hey, Ricky, I went to, I think it was January of last year. or sorry, it was the year before. So it was January of 2023. Last time I went to a Canucks game, so it was like Colorado and Vancouver, okay? Nosebleeds, right? Very fucking top row. $500.
Yeah.
It is
They're
ridiculous.
And a $30 Coney dog is Dallas would call it.
Okay, what a chili dog, dude.
Okay.
Hot dog,
You
whatever.
go to their website, right? You go to buy tickets March 5th against the Anaheim Ducks. Let's do this live on the pod. How much is it going to be? Cheapest ticket right now is 101 for section 313.
That's why I love CHL games, man. $30, front row, done.
Yeah, but $100 for a ticket? It's cheap as hell for an NHL game.
Think about the London
Dude,
Knights.
$30 for a bunch of kids. That's
They have Ticketmaster and they resell them for like $200 freaking dollars for a junior hockey game. Like,
Yeah.
Well, it's also
That's crazy. $200? That's crazy.
like,
There are
honestly, the
people-
Blazers selling tickets for $30 is a scam for the team that they put out on the ice these days. I would pay $23. $30 is a scam.
Yeah, in Halifax, tickets are $26 upper bowl and $30. There's a $4 difference. $30 lower bowl. In the playoffs, lower bowl is $50.
Yeah,
It's only because we
yeah,
can
that's
see
fine. The
10,000
playoff
and
games,
they
I
went
don't
for
mind. I don't mind it going up. I don't mind that.
That's how much
Blazers-
the OHL finals were when I went to the Knights versus Gens. I think it was like $50 for mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine, especially in a final. Like,
Like,
if it's only
that's
$50 for a
valid.
final,
Like that's valid pricing.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
when Patrick Roy and the Ramparts were in Halifax, I was paying $60 a night, but I didn't care. I was
Yeah.
like, fucking cool. I'll do
Yeah,
it.
I think during the Blazers, what, did we make it to the conference final in 2023? I can't remember.
versus Seattle, yeah.
Yeah, versus Seattle, it was like $48 for a ticket. I think.
Yeah.
It was
I mean, the Bedard games were up there.
I got to that game.
Oh, dude, I had standing room. I had standing room tickets, and those were alone were like $58 for 2 tickets.
Yeah, standing
Yeah.
room tickets were like $28.50. That's what I remember spending $28 on standing tickets.
Oh, it was good though. The crowd was chanting Logan's better, and we blew them out 9-2 as well. So it was a great game.
Yeah, Regina was definitely not a challenge of a team. They just had
You
the
think
best.
Bedsy makes 2026?
Mm.
Ooh,
So, Nally,
definitely 28.
I searched your Coney dog, buddy.
Buddy, I have it on standby right now.
It's
That's
similar to a chili dog, but without beans.
Yeah, you just got to throw the graphic up on the screen so everyone can see it.
That is very interesting.
It's
I don't think
boys.
I'd ever eat that.
At least once in your life, I don't care where you are. Go
It
get
has
a Coney
beans
dog.
on it.
They used to sell them
Yeah,
back. in
you
the
can
day,
get a
and now,
chili
too.
dog.
No.
Chili
The
dogs.
Coney dog is
And it's
without
different.
beans.
Remember when
Walmart- the
Coney
Walmart-
2012 was a thing?
The Walmart version of a chili dog.
Yeah, it
Dude,
sounds like it.
A&W sold them back in the day too. They were
No,
okay.
they make whistle dogs.
A&W was
bro.
the shit.
A&W
Yeah,
make
don't make fun of the
whistle
whistle
dogs.
dog.
Whistle
Oh,
dog.
shit.
Dallas
on
is
a
a
whistle
chili
dog.
dog connoisseur.
Honestly
Yeah.
though,
Same.
I think Costco should team up with some of these sports teams, dude. Because like, how sick would it be to have like a $1.45 hot dog?
Oh, yeah, that'd be sick.
They would put the dollar hot dog in Rogers Place, and Aquilini would make it somehow $21.50 starting price. So
There's literally a
Hey.
Costco across the street from the arena too.
yeah, but
like,
they don't let
you
you bring
wouldn't
food and drinks in.
You just hide it.
Dude, there's a guy. I should tell the story anyways. This is funny. There's a guy that I work with in the press box who brings in Wendy's all the time. He'll just smuggle like burgers into his like jacket. Then he comes and sits down and pulls out a Wendy's burger, and I'm like, that's incredible.
Guy's a legend.
That's
High security.
Yep.
That is respect, man. It
There
is
were guys
That's
in the gold medal game in Halifax, and they were the guys that sat in front of me all tournament because I had the tournament package. In the gold medal game, they just came from Boston Pizza down the street.
Oh,
And Buddy he looked like he was fat, and I was like, dude, what happened? He pulls up his sweater, and he's got two of the like Boston Pizza takeout things filled with wings, and I was like, oh yeah, that's electric.
That is
That's
legendary.
legendary.
Tray
That
of
is
wings
legendary for
strapped to
sure.
the gut.
Yeah,
You know-
like 2 of them just side by side, 20 pieces, just.
That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. So do you spend
That's
like
legendary.
$80 on food at the games? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
we got like 10 minutes for an hour. I don't know if we want to circle back to Canada,
I was just gonna
USA,
circle back.
win. If there's anything you want to finish up on before kind of the 1 hour mark, and then we'll call it a fantastic episode and a fantastic week of games, because this was such a fun tournament.
Great tournament.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as someone who was pretty skeptical of the tournament coming into it, it changed.
Yeah, you were actually like you were pretty down on it. You literally texted us the day of Canada Sweden, and you were like, "I'm not very excited for this game today. Let's see how this goes." And obviously, none of us knew what it was going to be. I was excited for it, but obviously, it changed when Canada played USA the first game. Like, that changed for everybody. No matter who you are, you could never have imagined it being that exciting. I don't care. Obviously, the Kachucks knew, but other than that, no one else knew how exciting the start to that game was going to be, and how that was honestly going to change the trajectory of history of hockey for who knows how long.
100%, because it's the one time that we have everybody talking about our sport, which I think is the coolest thing about what this tournament has done. You got people like Kevin Durant, who said in an ESPN interview yesterday, if you're bored of the NBA right now, go watch Thursday's game between Canada and the US. Go watch the NHL. You got Tom Brady commenting on stuff saying, "Oh, this is amazing. I can't wait for Thursday."
JJ Watt said hockey's the best sport in the world.
Yes. So you got top tier athletes like KD and Tom Brady and JJ Watt telling you, go watch hockey. They know that their own sports are just going downhill right now.
And I think it was JJ Watt too that just also tweeted out like today. He said, "I have friends that don't even know what hockey is, all asking me if I want to come to a hockey watch party today, and asking who's bringing what food and stuff." He said, "It's crazy how many people were just rocking out for today's game. They were so ready to see that go down."
You go into like the ESPN comments on their posts from this morning and stuff like that, or House of Highlights, or any of those like dominated NBA and NFL Instagrams, and it's just comments from other people going, "I've never watched hockey, but I am so amped up for tonight's game." And it's like, good. Like, it's about time this sport got the recognition it deserves.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, did you guys even see any of the 2025 NBA All-Star game from Utah? It was abysmal. So
I saw a weird.
Why were you watching that?
It was so bad.
On my phone. It was because it was the Four Nations making fun of it because it was Saturday night, and it was like the NHL just produced MMA on ice, and the NBA is doing this tonight. And it was like some weird passing drill, and it looked so slow and terrible. And it was just like,
are you talking about how?
Yeah, we are.
What's his name? No, they didn't even do the speed, or they didn't even do the 3-pointers. Like CP3 didn't even do the 3-pointers. They were just passing the ball through the hoop. They were just trying to get the better time, and they weren't even shooting the ball.
Exactly. Yeah, it was terrible.
What a goat, Chris Paul.
But it was Chris Paul and a teammate, and all they did was just sprint and just throw the balls at the hoop, and just they weren't even trying.
I think the bread and butter of this tournament, though, was the atmosphere from the Bell Center. I think just sold it for me, especially like not even just the Canada-Sweden, but the Canada-US game. Just the atmosphere there at the Bell Center is unmatched, I think, anywhere else in the NHL. Like, they came out in numbers, and boy, the support there was unreal. It was just wild. I loved it. I loved every second of every game. Didn't matter if it was even Sweden and Finland. I loved watching every single game at the Bell Center.
I think I said this. Oh, no, Daeden, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I will say I missed the anthems tonight, but Boston did a really good job at hosting the games that it did host. And although it wasn't the Bell Center and it wasn't as, like, amped up as last game, it still had something to it. And the American fans kind of booing the Canadians, having the other end of the stick this time, kind of felt like, I don't know. I was biting my nails a little bit.
Daeden, you didn't watch the anthem?
He was at school.
I was literally doing a radio.
You should go back and listen to it because the Canada anthem singer sucked.
It was terrible.
It was awful.
We should have gotten booed hard.
No, they did that on purpose so that they wouldn't boo, so we could focus on how bad the anthem singer was.
It started out French, ended out in English, but she was.
When it started out French, I shook my head, man. How
Yeah,
dare you
usually
start
you
off
don't
your
do
national
that.
anthem that
She
way.
even
I don't know.
missed a few words too, and just mixed them up with other words like made
Just
up.
like her whole tone
I'm
singing it
just-
too was just
Yeah,
off.
she was off key.
Like,
But what was
way
beautiful though was the fans. The Canadian fans that were there, they picked up their socks and they sang loud. So
There was a
That
lot
was
of blue nosers there, man. It's so close to the Maritimes. Like a lot of people drive down.
We travel well. Shout out to the boys right here, High Button Sports. They made the trip down. Fucking, they produced some good content. But yeah,
Beauties.
lots of Nova
Freaking
Scotians
beauties.
made the trip down. Shout out to Mac opening the scoring too.
Why didn't we
Yeah.
make the trip down?
the
Well,
trip was run down. And me and
remove
Dakota
the
were thinking
fellas,
about it because we're in
remove-
Seattle right now. We're like, man, we don't even have to like fly across the border. We can just like see if there's a flight over to Boston for like 2-for-1 like red eye.
Man, you know how
Probably
scary I am to
wouldn't
walk
want
outside though? Low key.
There's riots in Seattle.
Not a good neighborhood, bud.
We're in Tukwila, so I don't know exactly what it's like, but it's been
I only know Tacoma.
Tukwila.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. Sounds made up.
No, neither. They have a police station in their mall. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
And they,
yeah,
and they all
definitely.
park in their no parking zone.
Yeah, they all park in a fire lane, all the cops. It's so funny.
America.
What are you guys doing?
America. Fuck yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, though, do we want to see this tournament again, just with more nations, or are we okay with it just being 4 if that's what they decide to do again? Even though I
I'd
guess they
want-
probably
I'd-
won't ever do 4
I'm
again.
fine if
more.
it's
I
I'm
want
fine
more.
if it's 4 nations to start for a couple of years until they figure their stuff out
Yeah.
and they can get
I
teams
agree.
in because I mean you're not gonna have a team Italy for years.
Ever.
I don't
There will
think
never be.
there's hardly 21 Italians you could get rounded up right now in the NHL as is. You
No,
could-
but like Steven said, though, like a lot of the Italian players on the Olympic team are Canadian and American,
Yeah,
or just dual citizenship, right?
they're just AHL guys that'll never play for Canada. or
He even
Yeah.
mentioned like guys like Giovanni Smith, right? Jamaican heritage.
No, they
born in
play. They
Toronto.
play for Jamaica. Yeah.
Yeah, but he
they
played
play-
for Jamaica, right? Yeah, so he's
Go
dual
call
Canadian and
Brandon
Jamaican.
Lee. You can go play for Great Britain.
So I think that's like back to the nations talk that the idea Dallas had. Like it goes back to like the World Championship. Like you look at Matt Zuccarello and how he talked about the World Championship. Like he never gets to represent Norway on the international stage unless it's at the World Championship. So he doesn't care if it's some watered down competition. It's about representing his country.
Fair
So
enough.
for them to have like a team, like a Team Europe or whatever it would be, where Zook and stuff can play, I think that it helps, right? It gives those guys that one last opportunity to represent their country or do what they want to do. I mean, look at Heishier or in like Cider and stuff with like
Draisaitl.
Germany's got a Dreisaitl. Like you look at Germany and then you go to Switzerland and like those two countries could easily make rosters just through the Dell and the National League, but they're not allowed to use those
Yeah.
players. So
Exactly.
I don't know. I think that just going forward, there just needs to be leniency on how they do the teams. But if it's going to be 4 nations from now on, I think they do it the way I kind of have said and the way that other people have kind of been promoting it, where it's Canada just plays the US and Sweden only plays Finland, and you do that in separate countries and
Yeah.
let the fans have fun with it.
I know this is a more popular sport throughout the globe. Soccer, right? The FIFA World Cup. It's a huge deal across the world. But why don't we really have like an actual like FIFA style World Cup of hockey, right? Like just a lot of nations, a lot of groups just battling it all out. Like
that is almost the World Championships. They have like
It is basically
Yeah.
the World
Yeah,
Championship.
basically.
there's like
I think
how
that'd
many
be
games?
awesome.
Like 68 games in round robin or something.
Because France plays in there, and yeah, you got Italy, you got Norway, Kazakhstan, Latvia.
Yeah, but aren't you gonna have to like put a lot of those games on at the same time? Find the arenas to fill to do it. Make sure you're not intertwining with another event. Like there's a lot of stuff you'd have to
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about with that much teams.
100%.
Colton, the only thing I would say about the like U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland thing is that like if you go U.S., I guess it would only be for like a number of years, like 2 years or so. But if it was like a continuous thing, I fear it might get repetitive because the women do that, and then they're always in the top they're always the top in the women's division, and then they do that rivalry, like the rivalry series,
Yeah.
and then they do so many other games, and it's like, okay, how many times am I going to see Marie-Philippe Poulin go into overtime and do something, or like Hillary Knight do? Like,
That's true. That's true. I see it from that way too. That's true.
I just like the basis of 4 nations. Unless Russia comes, then you make it work with even teams somehow. But it's either Russia or 4 nations. There's no in between. It sucks for Czechs. It sucks for Slovakia.
Europe.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But without Russia, then if you do a Team Europe, there's 5 teams, which I guess you could do it, but it would be, and then I guess maybe do a Team North America, because really 2028, Bedard will be under 25, Green will be under 25. Like if you did it under 25,
you're only bringing Team Europe in if Russia gets in. Other than that, you're not bringing them in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Unless you wanted to do Europe and North America again, that would be your only way.
I mean, that World Cup idea I kind of threw out there, like maybe they could do it like the CONCACAF qualifiers, right? Like keep it in just set hub locations like Edmonton.
I don't know what language you're speaking. What is a CONCACAF Cup?
CONCACAF.
What is
soccer?
That?
Soccer.
Yeah, it's soccer. Yeah, it's
okay.
Canada, USA.
I don't think that would work though, Dally, because like CONCACAF is like it's champions of a nation. Like if you're talking like the Champions Cup, like or like CONCACAF, like it's a bunch of nations from like
just
all over the place, but they play
all the Americas, yeah.
And it's such a like long tournament where like Canada and Jamaica played in or not Jamaica, but Canada played back in like November, and now they don't play again until March. So
well, maybe this is something they look into doing during the summer, maybe, I don't know, in a hub city or 2 or 3, like it'll
be hard because every 4 years you'll be competing with Summer Olympics, then every alternating second year would be Summer Olympics, FIFA World Cup, Summer Olympics, FIFA World Cup, right? So you'd be constantly fighting those battles in the summer. You'd be fighting quality of ice in the summer. And then how many years in a row can you dip into guys' time off? They love their country, but they can't be going 10 months out of the year. They got to have a little more time off than that.
Hey, man, you don't see me having a hockey job here, so I don't know. I just like to pitch ideas. I mean, they kind of sound fun, but they sound good in theory.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good to think about this kind of stuff. Maybe someone will hear us and, get the ball rolling on the NHL side for some of this stuff. You never know.
If Gary Bettman listened to me, that would be insane.
Yeah.
Gary Bettman listening to a Canadian?
True.
Crazy.
Actually, how did Canada win this tournament? Canada's first trophy with Gary Bettman as commissioner. We got to throw that in there.
We won the 2010 Olympics. What are you talking about?
And the 2016
this is an NHL sanctioned event that Canada won.
2016 World Cup, though, right? That was all NHL sanctioned.
You're right. So twice.
But did Canada win it?
Yeah,
Canada won it.
Dude, Brad Marchand.
Brother.
Do you not remember that?
Against Team Europe, my guy.
Glory, boys. Alzheimer's are kicking in. I'm sorry.
Remember that nasty McKinnon overtime goal for Team North America against Team Sweden?
No.
Oh my God, that was nasty.
Actually, don't. Either way, fellas, let's wrap this up here. Just want to say thanks to everyone for watching and tuning in. A lot of people were on our lives on TikTok, following along with us through this whole 4 Nations. So we really appreciate it, letting us recap this. Like I just said, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, X, subscribe to us on YouTube. If you could, please follow us on things like Spotify and Apple Music. So any of those you can listen or watch, that would be awesome. And we look forward to seeing everyone in episode 50, which was pre-recorded, but with Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff. It was an awesome time. We couldn't appreciate him more. So we'll see everyone then. See you later.